Hi, I'm John Maxwell. When the top companies in the world are looking for trainers, speakers, and coaches, there's one name that stands above the rest, and that's Maxwell Leadership. Our certified team members have gotten proven results for companies all over the globe, and our reputation, I'm proud to say, is second to none. Some of our members have risen to the top of their profession, including the one you're going to meet today. I proudly introduce you to my friend Bob Fabian Zinka.
Welcome to the Leadership and Success Podcast with your host, Coach BZ, where we help you lead with purpose and succeed with impact. If you're ready to grow into the kind of leader others want to follow, this podcast is for you. If you're determined to elevate your success and leave a lasting legacy, this podcast is for you. As my mentor, Dr. John C. Maxwell reminds us, everything rises and falls on leadership. Our goal is simple: to inspire you, challenge you, and equip you with insights that can transform the trajectory of your leadership journey. Welcome aboard to another episode of the Leadership and Success Podcast with Coach BZ.
What's up, everybody? My name is Captain Contessa Tracy. I typically just go by Tess. First and foremost, thank you so much to the Leadership and Success Podcast and Coach BZ for inviting me on 1 week from today, Monday, December 29th, 11:30 Eastern Standard Time. Mark your calendars. We're going to be having a fruitful discussion about lessons learned over my almost 17-year career, from enlisted to commissioning as a military intelligence officer, then coming back on active duty to complete residency for clinical psychology, and now assuming command of the winning Military District of Washington Medical Recruiting Company. Again, mark your calendar, December 29th, 2025, 11:30 Eastern Standard Time. Tell a friend, and until then, be blessed. Thanks so much. See y'all soon.
All right, everyone. Welcome to a very, very special edition of the Leadership and Success Podcast. I'm going to be speaking with Major Select Tess A. Tracy. Gladiator 6 is your call sign, U.S. Army. And it's going to be a very special show. So today I was grateful just for all of the resources available out there for all of the service members. And before I bring her on, let me see if I can properly introduce her. She's really, I believe, what it represents, right, to be a member of the fighting force of the United States. So Major Select Tess A. Gladiator 6 Tracy brings a rare, powerful blend of experience across combat medicine, military intelligence, clinical psychology, and command leadership, from supporting multi-domain operation and deployed formation to serving as an aide-de-camp at the general officer's level, to now commanding one of the most competitive healthcare recruiting market in the nation. Her leadership journey embodies mission focus, people-first leadership, and ethical courage. So today we are going to be learning about how to lead with mission first, people always in high-pressure environment, why psychological readiness is a leadership responsibility, lessons from command, deployment, and general officer level leadership, but also our values, faith, and resilience shape durable leader. So without any further ado, please help me welcome to the Leadership and Success Podcast, Major Select Tracy.
Hi.
How are you doing today?
Oh,
Captain
thank you so much.
Tracy. I don't
Yes.
see you. Let's see.
Okay.
Let's just give her 1 second. I love technology. Yeah, I felt like we tested this just a second ago. I can definitely hear you.
Okay. And I can see and hear you fine.
Okay, but for some reason your screen is black.
I can try the setting again.
Okay. All right. While she's getting that fixed, I want everybody to follow her on LinkedIn. So that's linkedin.com in Contessa A. Tracy PsyD 369B93169. Okay, Major, you're probably going to need to update your URL for LinkedIn. Nobody's going to remember all of that. But anyway, just type in Contessa Tracy, and you are going to find her and follow her wisdom on LinkedIn. And while we were in the green room, I know she hasn't published a book yet, but I know she has many books in your future. One thing she does, and I think is extremely inspiring, is what she calls uh, by test. I think, let me see, just one second. Let me remove. Yeah, I believe she calls it Conquer Your Path by Test. I think that would be really fantastic for a devotion for resilient leader. Okay, here she's back. Thank you so much for being back. First of all, I'm so glad to talk to you today, and congratulations on your recent selection to promote to offer this fiscal year. I was just telling you in the green room. Usually, the DoD waits until September to promote everybody. Maybe it saves them money or something. But anyway, you are a major select. That's a very big deal. So you are now a great field officer, and if you promote again to lieutenant colonel, which is 05, you will be in the top 4% of the armed forces. Only 4% or less who have ever joined the military ever ended up as 05 and above. So congratulations for that. How are you doing today?
Doing well. How are you? Thank you so much for having me.
Fantastic. Absolutely. No, it is a great honor and privilege to do so. Maybe to get started, is there something you are grateful for today?
Oh, I'm grateful for a lot of things today. My husband and I are finally living together, and so
Hey.
we took on the huge feat of hosting the holidays. So we hosted Thanksgiving and Christmas. So it was
Wow.
just amazing, like having family in our
Yes.
home, our first home together. So yeah, feeling super grateful.
That is fantastic. He's not in the military, is he?
He is, yes.
Oh my goodness. So that's really double the sacrifices. It's everybody who's ever served even just for one day in the U.S. Armed Forces, I consider them my hero because it's really asking a lot. It is incredible. I don't know how many special holidays and special occasion and recital and things that I've missed with my family just because I was deployed. But I can't imagine you and your spouse being deployed at the same time. And then what about the kids? I mean, it's really a lot. We really sacrifice a lot to serve our country. So thank you for that. But to get started, maybe I will ask you: is there something about you that most people may not know about?
Mm. Um, Maybe most people know this about me, like either like on my social media or like if they know me, but if they don't, I love CrossFit. I love Olympic weightlifting. I think there's so many life lessons that you can gain from those two sports. And honestly, like just what I've learned in them has just kind of transferred to like other aspects of my life. Yeah. That was us like getting after it out there in Korea. Um, but and then I guess it's a good combination, but I also love like meal prepping and like just
Mhm.
like immersing myself into like new culture food, like good quality food, and then like cooking for other people. So I get
That's
they go
beautiful.
together. Yeah.
That's really great. Yeah, I think I stopped eating junk food after I joined the Navy 21 years ago.
Yeah.
It's really weird. I was a couch potato before I joined, and the first time I did my mile and a half run, I think you in the army you do 2 miles, right, for your annual
For the
PT.
PT test, yes, yeah, we do 2 miles.
In the Navy, we only do a mile and a half, but I'm telling you, I almost died. I thought I had a heart attack the first time I did this. But anyway, it's really great to hear. So maybe you can tell us briefly about your leadership journey. And I need to realize that you were enlisted just like me. What was your last rank as enlisted before you became an officer?
Yeah, I actually pinned E5 and then 2 weeks
Wow,
later, yeah, I
that's
put on
amazing.
my dot for like I was a simultaneous membership S&P
Wow.
selectee for ROTC.
True Mustang. I was an E4. Now, if you weren't wearing this uniform, I would have known because as an enlisted, for those who don't know, we get uh, every 3 years good conduct medal, right? Officers do not get it. So if you had all of your medals, and if I saw that, I would know that you used to be enlisted. And also, if you had a warfare pin that was silver, meaning only enlisted people earn those, then I
Yeah,
would know that you were
yes.
previous enlisted too. So congratulations. That is
Thank
really
you.
Wonderful. So another thing we had in common, I didn't realize, because I do a lot of research on the guests I have. You don't have very much on social media. It was very difficult to find out anything about you. So thank you so
But
much for.
blame the Intel side of me for that.
Yes,
I think
yes,
the Intel
true.
folks would be grateful for that.
True, true. So I am an information professional officer, so part of the information warfare community, which include Intel. That's the way it used to be for us until about maybe 2010, I think, is when the information warfare community was
Yeah.
stood up. For the first 2 years, there was nothing about us on the internet. But after 2012, 2013, for some reason, our leadership said, hey, everybody go online and make a lot of noise about your Navy accomplishment and things, just I guess to bring a good promotion to the Navy and the Reserve branch too. But anyway, that's kind of where that changed for me. I think there's maybe too much information about me on the internet. But anyway,
Good stuff.
so
Good stuff, though.
yes. So you have served as a combat medic, intelligence officer, clinical psychologist, and now a company commander. Looking back, what core leadership principle has stayed constant across all of those roles?
Yeah, honestly, it's really not about the title or the position or where you're
Mhm.
at. It's really I've always just kind of stuck to it's about how you treat people.
Yes.
That's what was instilled in me
Mhm.
from E fuzzy, like no rank in
Yeah.
the army, going to basic training, and I've just been really blessed to serve under some like quite amazing leaders who have just
Yes.
hammered that into my head of like
Mm.
it's not about like what you do or how you achieve it or all the like glitz and glam. It's about how you treat
Yes.
people.
That is really, really powerful because I'm reminded when I joined in as an E1, after boot camp, they promoted me to E3. But even at those lower ranks, it's true. In the armed forces, in my opinion, we are like a leadership organization. We just happen to have a bunch of weapon and hardware. Even at the lowest rank, we really learn how to influence the people around. No, the sailor, the soldier to your right and to your left. You take care of them, and everything is going to be fine. That's why
Absolutely.
I also think we are the greatest military force that's ever been on earth, because I think most other militaries, if you get rid of all of their general and all of the officers, they're completely lost. They have no idea what to do. But for us, even enlisted folks, we know exactly what the mission is. We train like we fight, and whether we have general or officers or not, we are going to accomplish the mission, and that's a big competitive advantage I think we have in the U.S.
For
military.
sure.
Period. Wow, that is really awesome. So December kind of marked your assumption of command of the MDW Medical Recruiting Company. What did that moment represent to you personally, and what responsibility do you feel most deeply as a commander?
Yeah. Command is something that you hear about as soon, honestly, like as soon as you commission, if not even like before, right? Like when you're
Mhm.
going through your ROTC training, um, you know, it's constantly discussed, right? Like you need
Yes.
to be skilled in your craft, you need to be confident, competent, fit
Mhm.
to a certain degree
Yes.
to be able to lead people, right? Because then I can just hear my PMS in my head now, like you're going to be
Yes.
a commander one day. People are going to be looking to you for answers.
Yes.
And then my path was a little bit unique in a way, right? So I was on that trajectory of being like your traditional officer, being a platoon leader XO, but then I pivoted and focused my time on getting my doctorate for clinical psychology, and so that took
Mhm.
up a lot of time. And then when you're on that path, just have a different focus.
Yes.
But it was never to avoid command. And so now being back on the operational side and having the opportunity to come over to be a 70 hotel, I'm back on that trajectory, right? And so
Yes.
I was like, yeah, I mean, my career manager is like, all right, you need to be looking for command. I was like, great, like that. Music
Yes.
to my ears. I've always wanted to do it, and not for the clout or
Mhm.
again, not for like this title or position or anything like that. Just for the opportunity to impact people like
Yes.
positively. Yeah. And so that's honestly like what it was about.
Yes, and I do have a short clip of your change of command ceremony, and people need to listen to your entire speech. But yeah, it's very inspirational. It's always focused on the people, isn't it? And by the way, we do have our first comment from the audience. So Ephesian Poncet is clapping. And Ephesian, let us know where you are coming from, what city, what state. And also, if you have a question for Major Select, please let us know. And let us know what you are grateful for as well. Thank you. Thank you so much. By the way, I really love having the interaction from YouTube and LinkedIn when I feature my guests, because I remember when I first did this about almost five years ago, it was an audience of one. It was just me, myself, and I, and nobody else was listening. So it is always great to interact with the audience. So as
That's
a
all it takes, too. That's all
yes,
it takes is one. We learned that from Tabitha Brown, right? She just did
yes,
a video about a sandwich from Whole Foods, and now she's,
yes.
a superstar.
Absolutely, and also especially for the junior officers who are watching right now, that's really what I recommend them to do. Start with one post, one blog, and try to be consistent with it, because I think you do have a way of thinking that is different than everybody else, right? So it's true with like in the Navy, I have a Navy core leadership, you have the Army core leadership ingrained in you, but you are also unique in the way you think, the experience you've had. And I think at every level of leadership, there is something that you can definitely add and share. That is so true. So as a clinical psychologist and the commander, how do you define psychological readiness in today's army? And also, why should leaders outside the military care about it?
Yeah, psychological readiness is it's being resilient, it's being flexible, it
Yes.
is having a variety of experiences, it is
Mhm.
being vulnerable and transparent. It's being open to feedback. It's being open to, yeah, receptive to feedback, open to, you know, this, or rather like normalizing that, like, you're not going to always get everything perfect, right? I could go
Mhm.
on and on. Like, psychological readiness is a mixed bag. But I think
Yes.
it's important that every leader at whatever echelon prioritize that, because I don't know that we can have a fruitful discussion about
Yes.
mission posture and mission readiness and winning if
Yes.
we are not focusing on our people being psychologically ready.
Yes, and in one of your posts, you add this about great, and it made me think of psychological readiness. Are you open to talk about that just a little bit?
Yeah, yeah. You definitely did do your research.
Yeah.
So I had the opportunity to deploy with 1-2 SBCT out of JBLM to for the rotation to Korea, and I was there, and in a very different capacity. This was my first time, serving as a 70 hotel. So I'm very anxious and nervous, and just trying to read and learn and make sure that I'm effective, like in this flow section. Um, and I had to tap into my resiliency skills. Um,
Oh,
and
sorry,
so
Major. Sorry, it looks like your sound has changed a little bit. I don't know if something changed on your phone.
is that better?
Okay, that is better. Yes. I don't know what happened. I was hearing you just fine, and then I almost lost your sound. Okay.
It sounded like a little choppy, like on your end too, like staticky. Is that better? Oh,
It's
that's
a little bit better.
okay.
Has anything changed on your phone?
Nope.
Okay, now it is perfect. Sorry, if you can say that again about 296, great. That was quite a
Yes.
great story.
Yes, yeah. So I got the opportunity to deploy with 1-2 SBCT out of JBLM to North Korea, and I was there serving in a brand new capacity for myself as a 70 hotel, like in this bow section. And I'm very anxious and nervous, and at the same time, like wanting to do a good job. And I had to tap into my own resiliency skills. So my battle buddies, Chaplain Garcia and Captain Dawson and a couple of other fellow captains, like in the battalion, were like, let's like pull everybody together. Like, everybody's just kind of down. We're away from our families and stuff. Like, let's have a
Mhm.
wellness of. They gave me the honor to lead a section of the course, if you will, for the day on doing training for the year, but I shaped it very much like based off of Angela Duckworth's discussion, her TED talk about grit. Resiliency is
Mm-hmm.
grit, right? And people were very receptive to it. And it was so touching. Like what you saw in the image there is like we had
Yes.
people came up and did their post-it notes of what they are thankful for in terms of resiliency or things that they want to get better at in terms of resiliency. And it was so heartwarming. I actually still have the board and look at it often.
Yes, and you did mention Angela Duckworth. The book she wrote about grit, I think, is a masterclass. Probably one of the best book about it. It's definitely a book I would recommend the people listening in to definitely read. Thank you so much for mentioning that. And just to let you know, so we have Ephesian is coming from up Marlboro, Maryland, and a question he has for you: what would you tell or advice would you give your younger self? Oh, it's actually one of the questions I asked. That's a great question. What question would you give to your younger self, second lieutenant or below?
Okay, like what advice would I give my younger self?
Yes.
Yeah. It sounds cliche, but honestly, believe in yourself, right? Like there's just going to be so different things that come at you in life. I'm remembering I'm actually remembering before I even went to, the LDAC at the time. I'm dating myself a little bit. But LDAC, I had to do CWST, like for the Army, for ROTC. And that's basically like the big swim test, right? And I just was like, I was just going to give up, right? Like I was just going to forfeit the opportunity to commission as an Army officer because I did not want to go off this food diving board. And all the noise in my head, you can't do this, you can't do this. But thankfully,
Yes.
and I feel like I attribute it to my faith that I jumped and I went to LDAC and I commissioned. And now, as of yesterday, 17 years later, I've had a very blessed career.
Well, that is quite amazing. I think most of the time I hear you just fine, but then it kind of breaks. I wonder. I think you're using your phone, right? How many signal are you saying? You have full signal or just one or two bars?
My signals on 2 bars.
Okay, I think that is why. Let's try this because most people are going to listen and not watch because afterward it's going to be on Apple podcast and everywhere else. Maybe we can turn off the video. That's going to force most of your signal to go to your sound.
Okay.
And what I will do here, let me put a picture of you. Let me do it this way. Yeah. Can you still hear me?
I can still hear you.
Okay. Thanks again. I usually have that's part of the issue that happen when you do this thing live. But usually, though, this is not a problem. Hold on. Let me see. Yeah, I want to make sure the sound is very good for those who are going to be listening on their iPhone. Uh, Now, another thing that you say often is no, mission first, people always. Actually, we say the same thing in the US Navy too. And it seems to me like a lot of the things we say in the Navy, we probably stole from the Army. Maybe not. I don't know. But we definitely have a lot of things in common. That's really, to me, the foundation of leadership. Always take care of your people and your people will take care of the mission. How do leaders actually live that out when missions are urgent and resources are constrained?
Yeah. Honestly, this is what can you hear me now?
Yes, perfect. Now it is
Okay.
perfect. Yes,
Okay.
thank you.
Yeah. This is what mentors have instilled in me, and I live by it. And it definitely is embedded in my leadership philosophy. But it means never sacrificing people for speed, right? It's not
Yes.
about. It doesn't matter if you win as an individual, or you win with only certain people like a part of your team. It matters when you win with everyone. and we can't just sacrifice, doing things the right way, to a high level of standard, um, just for the sake of saying that we've won.
Yes. Wow. That is very insightful. So your current command, right, is geographically dispersed recruiting company, one of the most competitive healthcare market in the country. How
Yep.
do you build culture, accountability, and cohesion when your team isn't physically together every day in one location?
Yeah, yeah. So I'm learning to embrace that, culture is not built necessarily only through proximity, but
Hmm.
it's through consistency, right? So I'm consistently collaborating with my first sergeant and my XO, and the battalion leadership, seeking feedback from them on how we can be creative, like in
Hmm.
this unique geographically dispersed environment, being intentional with the touch points. So yes, like recruiting command, does advise that we do battlefield circulation by like a prescribed time, but making sure that the team knows that we're not just doing that to check off the block. Like we really
Hmm.
want to be intentional about what we do with that time.
Mm.
I also am trying to let folks know like what the priorities are. So on our first battlefield circulation here coming up in a couple weeks, I've told folks it's like I want to make sure I do initial counselings with folks. I want to sit down. I want to hear what your goals are. I want to get
Mm.
outside the office. I want to see people in a different environment. But
Yes.
then at the same time, like I'm ready to get dirty. I'm ready to like make the sausage with you.
Mm.
And I'm excited to do it like physically in the same location.
That is really powerful. I think being a role model and leadership by example is probably one of the best lessons I've ever learned in the US Navy. Because I feel like in the industry, many people like to be the boss. I have a corner office, I am in charge, and everybody serves me. But in the military, what I've learned is as a leader, people don't serve you, you actually serve them. And then they are able to accomplish your mission. That is quite uh, powerful. So, as a commander, how do you balance mission command and oversight without slipping into micromanagement?
Yeah, I try to be clear on what the intent is. So
Mhm.
I really took a lot of time, though it was very expedited in me assuming command, which is unique. But I really sat down and focused on, okay, putting intentional time into my philosophy,
Yes.
in brief, like my introduction to everyone else, and being clear on like what my expectations are. Also being upfront. Um, Short story, but like I reminded most of the team that I was raised in the Army by NCOs, right? So when
Yes.
I am talking to E6s and E7s and E8s, right? Like I am holding them at a very high regard. They have
Yes.
literally taught me everything that I know. And
Mhm.
so I say that to say that I do have very high expectations.
Yes.
It's not going to be toxic. It's not going to be,
Mm.
maladaptive in any way, but just setting the tone that like I am used to looking to people with
Yes.
your experience to hold me accountable. And so I'm going
Wow.
to do that the same way as a commander.
That is so powerful. Again, we have another very similar experience. When I was just a baby sailor, E1, a nobody in the Navy, the chiefs, E7, E8, E9, they took care of me. I mean, they really, really cared for me.
Right.
I've never
Right.
received so much love. But even when I became a junior officer, no, O1, O2, O3, they still take care of you and help you become a great leader and a qualified officer. So when I suddenly became a senior officer as an O5, I'm like, okay, we're not going to stop the mentorship now. Please continue mentoring me. How do I become the best commander I can possibly be? Really, in the Navy, we say the anchor, the chief, they really run the Navy, and that is so true. And I'm really glad that it's really the same thing in the Army, but really across all of the branches. Again, from the comment I made at the beginning of the show, right? In most armies, you get rid of all of the general and senior officer, they are completely lost and they're going to completely fall apart. But in the US Navy or Army, that's not going to happen because those chiefs, those non-commissioned officers, they know exactly what to do, how to do it, and they get the job done with or
Absolutely.
without officers' supervision. And that is so, so powerful. Wow.
Yeah.
So, but you also served with the first multi-domain task force and later deployed in support of the Korea rotational force.
Mhm.
What leadership lesson from those environments most apply to today's complex, ambiguous operating environments?
Yeah. Ambiguity rewards leaders who can make thoughtful and intentional decisions. Even if they don't have like all the complete information. Of course, like us as
Mhm.
leaders, we really sit down, and I'm sure you can relate to this as an information warfare
Yes.
officer, and that you really try to give as much detailed information to your, higher level leadership so they can make an informed decision. But in these complex environments, we don't always have that, right?
Yes.
And so I think it is important that we remain calm, that we be competent, that we be confident, that we give that reassurance to our leaders, but also our subordinates,
Hmm.
and just make sure that everyone across the aisle and at the table knows that we have the same focus, which is to
Yes.
bring our people home and to win, like to get the mission done.
Well, that is really powerful because another thing that you have done is you were hand selected to serve as aide-de-camp to a commanding general at DHA MRDC, or at the Army Medical Research Development Command. What did observing senior leader at that level teach you about strategic leadership that junior leaders often miss?
Yeah. A lot. And it's interesting because I was like talking to, if there was one part of this interview that I kind of needed to just kind of um spitball, if you will, like
Hmm.
thanks, shout out to my husband for like just helping me kind of formulate my thoughts. But it's so interesting because like within the first couple of weeks of being in the seat, while yes, aspiring to be a commander, I literally was like locking up the office one day and was like, this job is preparing me for command.
Mm,
um and it was just a dream at that point. Like I did, you never know if you're really going to be selected for it. But it's
yes.
from, coming in early, staying late,
Hmm.
always needing to be prepared, anticipating needs, and and just dealing with all the challenges that come with it. I had an
Yes.
amazing opportunity to learn from like the guru herself, the mother of 70 Hotel, if you will.
Yes.
She's also coined as the mother, or the people's GO, General Lodi. But
Mhm.
just how she was able to like balance all of that, right? And
Yes.
then still keep your sanity, and still be relatable to a certain degree as well. So it was hard. I will never deny. Anybody who aspires to be an aide de camp, I will tell them, strap in, strap in
Yes.
tight, right? Because it is one heck of a ride. But I learned so much, and I think it honestly did prepare
Hmm.
me for this position.
That is really powerful because another thing that I call him my CPT, but my primary mentor as an IP officer told me was to always volunteer for the hardest assignment. Most people run away from those, but when you do it and you do it well, you really get to learn a lot about yourself and leading, and really you kind of see how everything kind of comes together, right? Especially as a junior enlisted, even as a junior officer, you kind of just focus on your little unit, your little bit of the mission that you do, but you don't see look at the strategy and the big picture, what we do
That's right.
as a force. And doing that is really powerful. Now we have another question from Kenitra Scott. And Kenitra, please let us know where you are coming from. Oh, she comes from Beltsville, Maryland. Let us know what you are grateful for. So Kenitra is asking, what are three things you would like to achieve during your command time? That's a good question.
Shout out to my first sergeant. She already knows. She already knows this.
Yes.
But yeah, I mean, she's heard me, she's also helped me kind of formulate these thoughts. But three things that I
Yes.
really want to help. I want to drive change, right? I am actually a product of this very company. I was
Hmm.
recruited into Army psychology out of the DC station. So again, I come in with very high expectations, knowing that the Military District of Washington Medical Recruiting Company has historically done really well. And
Yes.
and I'm proud to be a member or a product of that, and that they are known to bring in high quality officers. So I want to
Hmm.
drive change, and that we can, but at the same time, like, continue to do that.
Yes.
um I want to impact like the people. Some people may say, oh, you didn't really have a hard command because you didn't have like hundreds of soldiers or whatever, but I have like the upper end of maybe 40 individuals who are depending on me, and so I am going
Mm,
to be very intentional about connecting with all of them,
yes.
and making sure that I am helping them reach their next goals. And
Wow.
that's the least I can do, because that is what I have been given in my career. And then, yeah, I mean, I think if my battalion commander is listening in on this, she's going to want to hear me say something about the mission. And yeah, I mean, I want to be able to contribute to, to bringing in high quality AMED officers. I want
Yes.
to continue on my service in the military, and I want to meet some of these people as I go out
Wow.
and be like, yeah, like we knew that you were going to be a good fit when we turned in your application, and we're glad that you're still here.
That is really, really, really powerful, very insightful. Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing. I think even a lot of the Navy GOs I care a lot about can really learn from your experience. It's really funny. Some of the GOs I want to bring on to the podcast. Although I guess of the Army being an O4 is almost senior, but not quite, right? But anyway, in the Navy, you still consider a junior officer until you make O5. Some of them are like, sir, I am really intimidated, man. You interviewed no General Petraeus and my crystal. I don't think I want to come on your show, sir. And then I'm like, okay, don't be too intimidated. Here is somebody else who was no NO3 or even enlisted. Once I interviewed a seaman, because I think what's very important, especially in the military, and I know we are a hierarchical structure, right? Command and control is very, very important. However, when it comes to leadership, your rank doesn't matter at all, because you can
Mm,
have the most junior person in your unit have the answer for what you are seeking. And I
mhm.
think it's very important to be humble and to really seek wisdom, no matter where that wisdom may be coming from. And I can tell you, even when I was just a seaman, or eventually I became a petty officer, third class E4, there were a lot of things I feel like I could have done to add to the unit, but just because of my rank, they completely acted like I didn't exist. And that's one mistake I didn't do when I became a commanding
Yeah.
officer. Because especially in these armed forces, I mean, like I say, leadership is ingrained into us from day one at boot camp, regardless of your rank. So let's talk a little bit about your command philosophy, which you started talking about a little bit.
Mhm.
So it highlights faith, integrity, courage, and lifting others as we climb. That
Mhm.
is so powerful. How do those values practically show up in your daily leadership decision?
Yeah, I told the team in my in brief, and this actually will relate to like something you had said just a few minutes ago. But
Mhm.
I told them, I said, I will never make a decision without praying,
Yes.
because that is literally what I did when I saw the 1-800 Go Army commercial
Hmm.
17 years ago, sitting in my uncle's basement. I prayed, and then, God spoke to me and said, yep, dial it, like go ahead, lean in, like
Yes.
this is for you. And
Wow.
fast forward to now, I mean, literally everything that I've done, I've never made a decision
Hmm.
without praying. So I've assured the team that I'm going to do that. Um, and I think that honestly just is going to keep me grounded, and it has kept me
Yes.
grounded for sure.
Wow.
Like you said too, like being humble. I've
Hmm.
just let everyone know that, I've never been a recruiter. So even in this capacity, right? Like I am
Yes.
surrounded by subject matter experts. They are all teaching me their craft. Um, and I'm trusting them to do that, right? So
Yes.
I'm definitely not going to have the answers.
Wow.
And I'm definitely not going to micromanage them in how to do their job that they are
Yes.
experts at. But
Hmm.
but I can say that I can look at systems, and I can, look at operations and think bigger picture.
Yes.
And so I'm definitely going to get in the trenches with them to be able to help these systems thrive, to help
Wow.
them. I think the part that I did want to say, like what you said before, I'm very similar to
Yes.
those subordinates that you were talking to, like when you reached out and was like, would you like to be on the podcast? I immediately looked at my husband with like tears in my eyes. Like I was like, I am very familiar with this podcast. He interviews like generals, like people that I look up to. And I'm like, he
Yes.
wants me to come on. But again, going back to faith, like God makes no mistakes. And that is my belief.
True.
And everything happens for a reason. So I think that this is honestly meant to be. And I'm very grateful.
No. Absolutely. Because when it comes down to it, really, we are all people. And one thing I must tell you, some of the best general I think America has ever provided, or admiral, one thing I find in common with all of them is they are very humble. And I don't get it. Maybe that's why they get selected as a 1 star, 2 star, 3 star, and 4 star. Because some of them, I was like, man, you pretty much single handedly changed the course of history in Iraq and Afghanistan, but you are so human. It's like, if I was you, I probably would be a little bit more braggadocious, but no, they are just at your level. And one of them actually called me on my cell phone. I almost fell off my chair. I'm like, what in the world? But it is just amazing again when you see leadership in action, whether in uniform or out of the uniform. And I think that is so powerful. No, and another thing that you mentioned earlier, right? The three C's. We teach that in the Navy too. It's like competence, character, but also connection, right?
That's right.
And that is, I think I could be talking with you for hours and hours, but it looks like we have only about 15 minutes left. So let me go to the second half of the segment when I really focus more on
Okay.
leadership principle. What do you think is the greatest lessons you have learned so far throughout your entire career?
Ooh, so leadership is less about control or
Hmm.
authority or power. It is about more so driving change, influencing people, um,
Mm.
inspiring people. Yeah, I think that's what it's about. Honestly, I chalk leadership up to being a vessel,
Wow.
and being a vessel for something good.
That is powerful. What do you think is the secret of your success? You've done so
Mhm.
well being enlisted, now being an officer and on your way to becoming a senior officer, but also having a doctorate degree. Why are you so successful?
Yeah. I mean, again, like for the people who are believers who are listening, I think they can understand this is like it's really not me. It is everything that has come like from my higher power, the strength and poise and drive that he has like planted within me.
Yes.
And then I'm just like here, doing it, if that makes sense.
That
Um,
makes
but but
perfect
but
sense.
yeah, but being consistent for sure, and remaining faithful like at all times, even when it hasn't been easy to do that.
Yes, because another thing I'm going to say, when I went to boot camp, at one point I felt like I was in a church. It's pretty amazing
Yeah.
what the chaplains do, even for our graduation ceremony, when everybody stays at attention and then we embrace. It's really love of God and country, an experience I will never uh, forget. But I did mention that to you in the green room. This devotion that you've been doing, daily manifestation, they're very powerful. Conquer your path. I really believe that should be one of your next number one New York
Ah,
Times best-selling book. I think people are definitely going to buy into it. You're going to encourage them. It
thank
is
you.
very powerful, especially in the military and especially during times of war. That's when I've seen more sailors really become more aware of the spiritual side of things, because you could lose your life. And a lot of people, I've been hurt, by the grace of God, I am still here. But I think faith is very important to leadership. That's just my personal opinion. I don't think I would have been able to make it to where I am today if I didn't have faith. It just wouldn't be
I agree.
possible at
Mhm,
all. So
mhm.
thank you so much for sharing that. So as a leader, what are you learning now?
Oh, lots. um, recruiting, recruiting operations, all the nuances that come with that. As a newer 70 hotel, just like really trying to immerse myself into the literature about medical operations and even more so the medical intel side of things.
Mhm.
Um, and then really just more like broadly about how to I'm always trying to increase my knowledge on how to keep folks inspired and motivated through these high op tempo and complex environments, right? Like there are things on the horizon that many of us, even like some of the smartest, like are still just trying to figure out,
Mhm.
and that creates anxiety for people. And so if I can be an anchor of peace, like for individuals and teams and organizations. I'm always looking to increase my knowledge on how I can do that effectively.
Wow, that is really powerful. But then you also having a degree in clinical psychology. Do you think that has prepared you even better than most to be able to handle that for your people and support them for whatever crisis or anxiety they may be going through?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm very grateful for my path. So, I was already in the Army before I decided to, pursue psychology.
Mhm.
And honestly, it was being in the Army and seeing Intel professionals is what drove me to
Yes.
psychology. I'm glad that
Wow.
I do have that training, but then also the experiences prior to that. It's made me very passionate about serving
Yes.
specifically our military population.
That is so powerful. Let me ask you, when you applied to become an officer for your commission when you were an E5, did you get accepted right away or did you have to apply again?
Well, so I did basic training, AIT, and then I was in my unit. And then when I got to college, like for undergrad, I
Mhm.
enrolled at the North Carolina A&T State University
Mhm.
ROTC program. So I was doing it simultaneously.
Okay, okay, very good.
Hmm. Yeah.
Good, because some of the enlisted folks I have talked to many times, they try to apply for a commission. There's so many ways of doing it. ROTC is a very, very good program, but then
Mhm.
sometimes you don't get selected right away, especially for the Navy information warfare community right now. It's very, very difficult to get in. Sometimes I feel like I'm really, really lucky. I mean, it goes back to faith and God again, because I feel like if I had to apply to become an IP officer today, I probably would not be selected. So I'm glad I did when I did back in 2017, was it?
Mhm.
But anyway, no, 2007 is when I first applied and I got selected right away. But many people they try, but it just doesn't work, and then sometimes they give up. But I always encourage them to do it again and do it
Yeah.
again. Sometimes
Yeah,
it takes 2 or 3 times before you are selected, so
for
it's
sure.
quite powerful. Now we've talked a lot about your successes. What about failure? How has
Mhm.
failure shaped your life?
Yeah, there's been many. But what I can say is that, again, even if it's been difficult in those challenging moments,
Hmm.
I'm reminded that, we're on a path. Um, God honestly like has that path already like cleared. He already knows what is going to be. We just don't know like what that looks like. Everything happens for a reason. And
Mm.
and even if we coin it as a failure, like there at the end of the day, it's teaching moments, right?
Yes. Yes.
So yeah, I mean, getting through ROTC was hard at times. Climbing up the ranks, like as an officer, there have been challenges. Even in
Yes.
my career, there have been challenges, but I just take those. It sounds cliche, but I take them. I try to figure out like what the learning lesson is in
Mm.
it, but and then not let it keep me down. Like just keep
Wow.
driving on.
That is powerful. Yeah, I think there's definitely something about mental fitness. When somebody says, "No, I am going to make it. I'm going to go through the challenges, learn from it, but eventually, I'm going to get to the other side." It's really a mindset, isn't it?
Yes.
Wow, that is powerful. And again, part of the reason why I do this is I really want to inspire future senior officers in the military and future executive in Silicon Valley or IT, because I feel like there are so many obstacles in the way sometimes. But if you keep your mind focused and do like major select, no, Contessa A, Tracy, eventually you are going to get there. And another reason why I do this too is, and I also love to speak to especially women and people of color, and you happen to be both, is because many times now I am a father with 2 daughters, and they don't have enough role models out there. And I think it's very, very difficult for you to accomplish something when you are the first to do it. You've never seen somebody do it before. But when you
Yeah.
see, oh, here is a major contestant Tracy, she's done it, then I think I can do it too. So it just,
Yeah.
you become a trailblazer, whether you like it or not. You really set a path for many other women of color to follow in your footstep. And that's very, very powerful. Again, another selfish reason why I wanted to have you on the show today. I'm so excited to talk to you. So
Thank
let's
you.
talk about some of the people that you know, that you follow, that we should follow. One that you already mentioned, I think I found a picture, is this lady right here. Why should people follow her?
Oh, I mean, she is General Lodi is a wealth of knowledge. She's obviously like been in the army for a very long time,
Yes,
um, and a really an expert like in army medicine, and definitely a trailblazer and helping drive like change
yes,
for army medicine. And I don't just say that just because she
yes.
selected me to work for her. um, but I mean,
That's
there's so
powerful.
many. I've only had a couple. I don't know if you've had him on yet, but reach out to him.
Mhm.
Um, General Brunson. We've only had a couple
Mm,
encounters. Yeah, Xavier Brunson, but like, I mean, just
yes.
he led a prayer breakfast like in Korea, and I mean, just such
Mm,
an inspirational leader. To the point where
yes.
like I some would say I did a brave thing, but like I saw him in the Pentagon. He wasn't, in a briefing or anything like that, but he was engaged in a
Mhm.
conversation. And I just went right up to
Yes,
him and I was like, I met you like in Korea. And it's so
yes,
crazy. Like this is how I kind of go through life and think about things. But
yes.
I saw him again and
Mm,
reminded him of like something that he said in his speech that inspired
yes,
me. That
yes.
same day I was selected for command.
Wow, that
Like
is really amazing.
I just don't think that those things like happen by coincidence.
Yes,
So
yes.
he's someone
Wow,
else that I look at and I study and I try to emulate. And I have so many other people. I'll probably go in the comments and tell
yes.
people like go look at these people.
Please, absolutely. And what is something that General Xavier Brunson told you that inspired you in Korea?
Oh, stay in your word. Like
Mm,
period. Just like stay in your word. He had his Bible like with him. You can tell that it was worn down because he
wow,
actually uses it and stays in it.
yes.
And uses it to help like kind of shape and guide like how he
That's
leads. So
powerful. That is
yeah.
very, very powerful. Thank you so much for sharing that. So, if you could choose three people to have dinner with, who would you choose and why? They could be alive now, dead, or mythical figures.
Oh man. Um to have dinner with. So it's actually funny that you asked this because I actually do have I shape it or I say it a little bit differently in that who
Mhm.
would I invite to the cookout?
Yes.
Um Oprah Winfrey for sure. I need her at the cookout. I need to be a
Yeah.
sponge and hear everything.
She is
Beyonce.
the aunt for all of the African American. Yes.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
Beyonce.
Beyonce,
Mhm.
because she is just a hard worker, right? And a visionary to a certain degree.
Yes.
Um, and then Michelle Obama. Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Wow, that is powerful, and I think you can see her right over there. Yeah, that is perfect. And thanks again for sharing about General Xavier Bonson. I will definitely reach out to him. I think this is what it looks like. Uh, powerful, powerful man. It's really amazing how they really impact, and how flag officer take the time to speak to an E1, E2 enlisted or junior
For sure.
officer. I've always really been very, very grateful for that, and that's really across the entire military. They don't get so arrogant. Oh, I am way, way up there. You are so down there. I don't want to talk to you. It is really amazing how they always wanna share knowledge. And I hope the general, if he hasn't yet, is gonna write a book as well. That's one thing I really love, being able to read a book that might cost me $20, $30, but get me the wisdom a general has learned throughout their lifetime. And it's really, really powerful. Talking
Yeah.
about books, so you've already mentioned this book that people should buy. Great, The
Mhm.
Power of Passion and Perseverance. Why should the audience read this book?
Oh, it puts some words and some explanation to things that honestly anybody can relate to. We all have like faced challenges like in our life,
Mhm.
so it puts meaning to it. It normalizes, challenges like to a certain degree, but it gives you some advice and it gives you some some actual like measurable tools to be able to
Mm,
kind of work through those challenges. Like they don't have to keep you down for sure.
yes. That is very, very, very powerful. Is there another book you would recommend to the audience beside that one?
Yeah, Dare to Lead by
Yeah,
Dr. Brene Brown
Brené
for
Brown.
sure.
Yeah.
That was what I was going to say earlier to your point
Hmm.
about, representation is
Yes.
important. And I think representation coupled with leaders who are willing to be vulnerable and transparent about the things that they have faced, so
Yes.
that it inspires people to know that just because you face your challenges doesn't mean that it's going to keep you down, and how to
Hmm.
like work through that. And then shout out to my pastor, Pastor Vernon Gordon. I'm finishing reading his book. My goal is to finish reading it before the year is out. But living life beyond fear.
Hmm.
It's just normalizing that, like, yes, like we're going to have fears, we're going to have anxiety,
Yes.
but it's about working through life and getting through life fearing less and not having fear like drive everything that you do.
Wow, that is powerful. So, Life Beyond Fear: Unlocking
Yep.
Kingdom Courage in a Worry-Filled World by Vernon Gordon.
Yeah.
Very, very good. I'm gonna make sure to add it to the list of the books we recommend here on the podcast. We do read a lot on the Leadership and Success podcast. Thank you so much for sharing that. Is there maybe a song, a book, or a movie that would be your life's theme or anthem?
Oh, there's probably many. But yes, actually, I love this question. I want to say the movie is from Will Smith.
Hmm.
Is it 7 pounds? Seven. I can't look on my phone. I want to say, is it 7 pounds
7 pounds. I don't think I have
or
watched that
seven? It's
that one
seven
yet.
something. Seven.
Okay.
Anyway, one of Will Smith's movies.
Because I know one of his movies that keeps being recommended over and over again is the Pursuit of Happiness.
Uh,
Many people. I
I'll
will
look it up while you can ask me
find
another
it.
question. But I think first it may not be 7 pounds, but it's but this one is what why I say it is because it
Mhm.
is honestly like what
Yes,
I aspire to.
7 pounds. That is exactly
Yes,
what
seven
it is
pounds.
called.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because he meets people, or he doesn't even meet these people actually, or later in the movie he does. I'm spoiling
Mhm.
it for some people if you haven't seen it, but lo and behold, like it is about being a vessel of change and being a positive
Mm.
source and a light in people that you don't even really know.
Wow.
And that is honestly, it resonates with me, like I'm just like, I want to be like on, you know stages, if you will. Like I want to
Hmm.
have like a large, like audience necessarily, like to reach out to, but again, not for
Yes.
clout. It's to be able
Hmm.
to inspire people.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, that is so powerful. So the movie Will Smith, 7 pounds, and
Yeah.
the other book you mentioned earlier, Life Beyond Fear by
Yep.
Vernon Gordon. Well, thank you so
Mhm.
much for sharing that. We are almost out of time, but let me ask you this: if you had one and only one day to live, what would you have liked your final contribution to be?
Mm. Um, a huge gathering with food, with laughter, but just genuine connection with like everybody that I possibly can.
Yes.
If I met you in life, or if that was just going to be like our only time to connect, just like being able to connect with as many people as possible and having genuine conversation.
Wow, that is really, really powerful because I feel like sometimes we take so much for granted. No, especially no, I was born in the uh, Congo, very, very poor country in Central Africa. But sometimes, no, I talk to my kids, of course, both of them American. I'm like, you guys should probably go to Mexico or some third world country for like 2 weeks or something. When you come
Mhm.
back, I will never hear you complain ever again,
Yeah.
because it is really a blessing to be here. And there are things that are definitely much more important than money or fame or anything like
Mhm.
that. No, like
Yeah.
one psychologist told me they've never heard someone who were on their who were on their deathbed saying, "Hey, I want more money. I want to go back to work," or
Right.
anything like that.
Right.
So that's
Yeah.
quite powerful. So if you had a magic wand and you could solve any problem in the world, what is one problem you'd like to solve tomorrow morning?
Mm. I think prior to this podcast, I probably would have said, like taking away like life struggles. But I think
Mm,
honestly, I would now say that just having resources readily available for people when they face, not if, but when they face challenges. Like a
yes,
safety net, if you will, where they can land and know that things honestly are going to be okay, right?
yes.
It may not work out the way that we think that it should. It may not always be positive. It may
Hmm.
not always be glittery and full of butterflies.
Yes.
But at the end of the day, things are going to work out.
Wow. Thank you. Thank you so much. We are coming to the end. I mean, I could be talking for you for another hour or two, but how can we add value back to you?
Oh, stay connected. I love reaching out to people. I am loving LinkedIn. Shout out to my best friend Aster for encouraging me to get on LinkedIn
Yes.
during COVID. It's been amazing. So yeah, I mean, reach out like on social media. If you're in the military, like I'm on Global. I think I'm the only Contessa Tracy in Global.
Yes.
Um, at army.mil. And yeah, I love reaching out to people. I love learning from other people's experiences and hearing their stories. So please, by all means.
Powerful. Well, I'm glad you said that because I think as of today, I am still the one and only Zinga on all four branches of the military. I know that because I check not just the Navy, but on DISA.mil too. There's no other Zinga out there. So very, very easy to find. All right. So we are coming to the end. First, before I ask you this question, is there a question I should have asked you that I haven't asked yet?
No, I think all the questions were amazing, sir.
Fantastic. So if you could go back, actually, you've already answered that question. I'm going to ask it in a little different way. I think it was Ephesians, right? It says, "What would you tell or advice would you give to your younger self?" But I'm going to be specific about the younger self. If you could go back, give a piece of advice to your 17-year-old self, standing
Mm,
at the edge of this incredible career you've had in the army, from enlisted, doctorate, and now a commanding officer, what would you say to 17-year-old Tessa?
yeah. Um, that voice that you hear is real.
Hmm.
And trust it. Yep.
Wow.
Like trust it. Yep. When you hear it and it tells you to do something, and the voice that I'm saying is God, like for me,
Yes.
um, be obedient and lean in and do it.
Wow, that is very, very powerful.
Hmm.
Trust your inner voice. Really, that goes into the competence part of the three C's for a leader in the armed forces. Uh, wow, it definitely helps you act with confidence. Thank you, thanks so much. So to end this, we're gonna end. I'm gonna get to 2 more minutes, and we are gonna
Sure.
be done. So
Yes. Yeah.
I'm gonna ask you a bunch of lightning round, rapid fire questions. So don't take too long to think.
Okay.
But
Okay.
what is one word that defines great leadership? One word.
Humility,
Okay. Morning routine or practice that keeps you grounded.
prayer,
A book or a quote that changed your life.
dare to lead.
Dare to lead. That's so powerful. That's Brené Brown. This book has been recommended so many times. Awesome.
Mhm.
Who inspire you the most today?
My mom.
Wow, powerful.
Mhm.
Okay. And a leadership habit you refuse to compromise on.
Leadership attribute I refuse to compromise on.
Mhm.
Um, Transformational leadership, like caring for people.
Wow, powerful. And what is the question that every leader should ask themselves weekly or frequently?
How can I be better?
Hmm. What did you want to be when you were a kid?
An OBGYN.
Okay, I guess you have a doctorate in clinical psychology. It's not too far. It's within the vicinity. Okay,
Yeah.
and three adjectives describing you as a child.
as a child, talkative, curious, um,
One more.
um, I don't know how to say it, but like resourceful. Yeah,
Resourceful. Very good.
my mom would always say that like I could occupy myself.
Very good. What about as an adult?
Mm, resilient, faithful, genuine.
Wow. Okay, the very last question, and we are going to end after this. What is one word that represents our shared experience on this podcast today?
Oh, inspiring for sure.
Thank you so much. I'm very, very grateful. Major Select Contessa A. Tracy,
Thank you.
call sign Gladiator 6. Thank you so much for being on the podcast. Definitely expect great things from you, and very, very grateful for your journey. And thank you so much for sharing your wisdom with us today.
Thank you so much for having me on. Thank you for all of your service too, sir. I
Absolutely.
look forward to staying connected.
Thank you. All right, everyone. That was Major Select Contessa Tracy. What an honor to speak with her today. Wow, that was quite powerful. The psychology of command. So I'm going to be back on actually tomorrow. That's going to be, I believe, the last interview for 2025. I'm going to be talking with Coach Zan Benefield. He's a planetary visionary, servant leader catalyst, and a conscious integrator. We're going to be talking about one world conscious leadership. So that's going to be tomorrow. And then on Friday, I'm going to have a marathon of interview for the premiere season 5, episode 1 is going to be the one and only a man who doesn't need to be introduced, 4-star General Gary M. Brito, U.S. Army retired. He is the people's general, 4-star warrior, future focus. And like me, he's originally from Africa too, which is pretty amazing. But then I will also talk to police officer Dr. Beth Sanborn, school safety leader and scholar practitioner. We're going to be talking about the missing piece. So that's going to be on Friday. And then after her, I will interview the one and only Terry Maxwell. She's a business architect, growth catalyst, conscious capitalist. And we're going to be talking about conscious capitalism in action. And after her, we are going to be speaking with Dr. Shona Doug Springer, PhD. She's trusted, relentless, and perceptive. We're going to be talking about mental warfare and moral courage. And she's the co-author of Relentless Courage. We had already interviewed Michael Segru, co-author. And on Friday, we're going to be talking with the one and only Dr. Springer. And I believe she says she's going to read to us for the first time on the Leadership and Success podcast a section of her next best-selling book. So I can't hardly wait for that. And then on Sunday, I will be speaking with cybersecurity leader Daya Ramesh. She's a founder, operator, and mentor. We're going to be talking about cybersecurity being existential. All right, that's what I have planned for you for season 5. And thank you so much for being with us today. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Bye for now.
Thank you for tuning in to the Leadership and Success Podcast with your host, Coach BZ. If today's episode added value to your leadership journey, be sure to subscribe, share, and join us again for more wisdom nuggets on how to lead better and achieve greater success. Remember, leadership is the most critical skill of our time. The world will always need leaders to inspire others, drive innovation, and execute meaningful strategy. So why not count yourself among the bold leaders shaping the 21st century? Until next time, stay inspired, stay committed, and keep leading with excellence.